very serious question. Does your mustache hold all the funniness in all of your content?
No, I believe it or not, I haven't had the mustache. I've had the mustache for about 2 years now without shaving it off, which is crazy because I hate it, honestly.
Yeah.
Um, but it's like my whole brand now. But no, I've been a funny guy for a long time, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, it really is your brand because I love that. I recently came across it as I was kind of going through and checking out your content over the years. Somebody put together like it looks like a little graphic and it's just like the outline
Yep.
and the
Yeah.
mustache. So
Yep. Yeah, we're doing a lot of stuff with that. We're actually kind of rebranding stuff right now.
yeah, well, so kind of on a serious note, so you started your account, I think just only a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
and it really grew ridiculously quickly, obviously.
Mhm.
So tell us a little bit why you started social media, if it was specific for military recruiting and that was your goal from the start, or if it was kind of a personal thing that morphed into this sort of military recruitment tool.
Yeah, so I started it for the military kind of purpose, but I started it on a personal platform because I thought that that was the safest thing to do. So anyway, I was standing in a high school and talking to a student, and I asked him what his Facebook was, and he basically laughed at me and told me his mom had Facebook. So
Old.
yeah, pretty much. So he told me he had Instagram. I downloaded it, and then at that point, I started using it as more of an investigative kind of tool to locate these kids and then talk to them that way. I mean, that's the where they're getting information, and that's how they communicate. So why we wouldn't be using that from a recruiting or talent acquisition standpoint is didn't make sense. Um, and then I really didn't start making videos until a couple months later, and that was kind of I saw other recruiters doing it, so I kind of like emulated what they were doing and realized very quickly that that's not who I am, and I'm not the most serious person all the time, and sitting at my desk. So I just started being myself and being funny, and it took off pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I found with, you military influencers, like being authentic and being yourself just comes across I don't know, it's not cringy, I guess. So what what kind of like funny nicknames, because we have nicknames for different branches of service. What funny ones come to mind when you're thinking about the Army?
I don't know. I like funny nicknames for the Army. I don't
Or
know.
for
I don't.
you, do your coworkers have a funny nickname for you?
Not really. Where I work now, I don't really do any videos here. It's a much more serious organization than where I was a recruiter. Not in a bad way, but it's just not the same kind of atmosphere. But no, I really don't have any nicknames. No, I
Super
don't.
serious in your new gig, it sounds like.
It is. It's very serious. Very serious.
Well, so let's talk about your inspiration for content. So one of the things that I really love is the different sort of bizarre MREs.
Yep.
So first, I want to hear the grossest one that you've encountered, and then talk about some of your other inspiration for content.
I think the grossest one is I think that all the U.S. military MREs are probably the worst in the world. I've tried MREs from around the world now. It's kind of what I do on the YouTube channel. And I'm very quickly realizing that ours are not the best. As
Trash.
far as the worst U.S. MRE, I would say that that's the creamy spinach fettuccine. It's disgusting, and it doesn't have very good snacks. Um, yeah, was that it? I can't remember if there's another
Yeah,
part.
the other inspiration for content, I mean, I know
Oh,
that you've kind of gotten your kids involved, which has been super cute. And I think just shows like a really likable, sort of relatable side, especially for folks that, may have families and are, thinking about joining the military. But let's talk about some of the other inspiration for content.
I would say that the kind of comedic geniuses. Like Will Ferrell is probably like my number one. I love those kind of movies. The earlier on non-politicized Saturday Night Live and Mad TV, those I grew up watching that with my mom and dad. Um, but yeah, those kind of comedians, I guess I really don't watch much stand-up or anything like that. I watch those old movies because they really don't make any good movies anymore, it seems like.
I was actually just talking about that with my husband because, like, I think we're around the same age, but we were talking about, like, Adam Sandler and, like, those, Madison films, and like they just don't
Yeah.
make funny stuff anymore. They really don't.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So I feel we'll see like what the Gen Z military recruitment sort of inspiration looks like. One of the ones that I really are the different car ones.
Mhm.
So how do you find those accounts and kind of like do your parody to it?
In the beginning, that one started as I was at a recruiting event in Washington State, some like recruiting competition thing, and from there, my wife sent me the first one of those of the Mercedes girl, and she said you should do this with a military vehicle, and I was standing right next to a Humvee, so I just decided to do it. Um, I found where those vehicles are located. That's actually a Russian car dealership in Moscow that makes those
Hmm.
videos. It's a big chain, but then that kind of has, everybody does those now. So now I just kind of pick good ones that I think are going to do well and just do them.
Yeah. So your wife sent you that one.
Yep.
Who do you think who is the funniest? Is it A, you, B, your wife, C, your kids, or maybe the dogs?
Definitely my kids. Definitely my
Yeah,
kids.
I
Yeah,
love
they're
that.
hilarious.
I absolutely love that. And so actually, let's go back. I didn't even ask what your favorite MRE was. I know that you recently said Canada does decent ones. Any other favorites?
I would say my favorite are the French or the Finnish MREs. Those are very good. Very good.
All right, U.S. military. That's their next recruitment tool is upping on the MREs, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a method to the madness on the quality of the MREs.
Ah, care to elaborate on that?
Oh, I mean, it's probably a lot of it goes to cost and how long the
Right.
shelf life is for them, how they pack out and everything. But yeah,
Okay, gotcha. And so, obviously you're very funny. This is kind of a silly question. But if the military, or if you're very serious, a unit you're working with right now, if they were to have a talent show, what would your hidden talent be that maybe no one knows about?
ooh, every podcast I do, everybody asks me that question, and I've never said what it
Really?
is. Yeah, and I'm not going to.
Okay, all right. Well, give
Yeah.
give me a fake one then.
Uh, I guess my talent show would be one that I would actually do is, well, if people weren't too sensitive, is I'm pretty good at like impersonating people.
Okay.
Like, yeah, picking up on their mannerisms and then emulating that pretty quickly.
Okay. My sister does a pretty good Shakira and
Oh,
Britney
wow.
Spears.
That'd be a hard one.
So what's your favorite impersonation?
I really like celebrity or anything like that. Like I could probably do my boss pretty well and my wife, people like that. Like when I meet someone and like observe them for a little bit, kind of pick up on it.
Okay, hidden talents. So let's talking a little bit more serious now that you do have the platform that you do have now at a couple million followers on Instagram at least, and then I know that you have your YouTube channel and probably elsewhere you can find Tyler Butterworth. But what are sort of your hopes for military recruiting? And another question, how would you describe your military experience thus far? Because I know that you've been in a bit of time now.
Uh, my time, I've been in 18 years and I've really had very good experiences in the military. Really nothing to complain about. I mean, obviously every day isn't, awesome, but I really haven't had that many bad days or hard times. Even the deployments weren't that bad. the Army has been good to me. It kind of led me to do a lot of things that I don't think I would have ever done, to include the whole social media thing. I don't think I ever would have done that if it weren't for the realizing how that would help with recruiting in the beginning, and then be like kind of, I guess, falling in love with making funny videos and learning all that kind of stuff. In terms of military recruiting, I would say that I think that the Army is doing a good job. They're moving into, utilizing content creators and adapting recruiting to more effectively reach the and if that means that we're using social media more wisely, I think that that's something that we're definitely doing.
Yeah, for sure. And so you mentioned you've deployed. One question that I like to ask, uh, maybe that can shed some light into folks that haven't done a deployment, is what's the most unusual item that you've been asked to pack for one?
For a deployment,
Yeah.
um, I don't know. It's all pretty like standard stuff. One of my deployments, we wore civilian clothes the entire time, and we didn't. We were told not to cut our hair, shave our beards. So that was kind of different, knowing that, I'm only packing like 2 uniforms, and the rest are jeans and t-shirts and sweatshirts and stuff like that. So that was a very different experience.
Okay. That's good to know. Deployments are not all the same, especially
Yeah,
location.
definitely. Yeah, exactly.
So I really appreciate you joining me for this and kind of shedding light into, your process and your hopes and all the funny videos that you and your family do.
Of course.
So really appreciate the time. I've been asking you a lot of questions, and I am not former military. So, what is the strangest question a civilian has asked you about military life?
Oh, the one that I probably got the most as a recruiter is, are you the Air Force? And, I don't know if you knew this, but it says on every uniform, every military uniform in the camouflage pattern, what branch it is. And so it just amazes me how many people are not that observant and will ask that question. So yeah, but I mean, tons of questions. It really depends on the audience, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Go Army. Pay attention to detail, folks.